Hi everyone, I'm Patrick Cameron and welcome to my show. This is a very special show. It's called A Conversation With. I'm going to give you the opportunity of meeting some of the most influential hairdressers of our industry and listen to their life stories. From the beginning of their early days as a hairdresser right through to the highest levels of success they've achieved. So sit back and relax. I want you to get a glass of wine, a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, a gin and tonic, whatever. But come with me now as we listen to their incredible journey. Welcome to A Conversation With. Hi everyone, how are you? Welcome to A Conversation With. Well, tonight I have a very special guest. I mean, every time I have a special guest, don't I? But this gentleman, I have loved his work from the moment I saw one of his first collections. He always is inspired by the sense of commercialism, what a customer would like and what a customer could ask for. He is the creative director of over 60 salons around the United Kingdom. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, I'm speaking of the wonderful Andrew Barton. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Patrick. Hi. Hello.
Oh, Andrew, thank you first of all, thank you so much for coming onto my show and just sparing a little bit of time for hairdressers just to get to know a little bit more about the Andrew Barton story. Because, I mean, you're so well known, you've had so many accolades, and yet, like me, you're still so passionate about what you do.
Listen, thank you for asking me to be involved tonight. It was a lovely phone call and you rang me while I was doing my grocery shop and you said, would you appear on the show? Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, Andrew, it was absolutely a pleasure. We're going to talk about what you're up to. We're going to talk, obviously, about all the things that are exciting you at the moment and how you're working. But before we get started on that, can we just go back a little bit? Where are you from originally and where did you start your training?
Okay, so I'm from Yorkshire in the north of England. I did a very traditional hairdressing apprenticeship in the 1980s in my hometown. As soon as I finished my apprenticeship, I realized there was a huge world out there. So I spent some time living in the States and in Australia. And then kind of the lure of home and the British hairdressing scene brought me back to the UK and to London. And I joined the Tony and Guy organisation. I worked with them as artistic director for many years. And then I was headhunted and I joined the Starck hair and beauty organisation where I headed up artistic and education. And then I took that big, bold leap and opened my own salon in Covent Garden, which I had for a number of years, which unfortunately I had to close due to a huge rent increase. And then at that time, as one small door closed, a huge one opened when I was appointed as creative director at the Urban Retreat at Harrods, which at the time was the world's biggest hair and beauty destination. Yep. And then fate changed its course, and then I was appointed as creative director at the Headmasters Salon group, where we have just shy of 60 salons based in and around London. So that, in a snapshot, that's been my career path.
You know, isn't it incredible, Andrew? I think you and I are very similar. We've obviously been in the right place at the right time, but not only that, we've been able to shine. And obviously, this is something because of your passion for what you do. Each opportunity that you've taken isn't an opportunity that was planned. It was an opportunity that happened. So you're obviously a very open person to change and also very perceptive of directions that can change like this.
I've been blessed in that I've spent a long time, most of my career, working in salon groups and larger organizations where I have the benefit of working with great teams, big teams, whether that's HR, PR, marketing, operations, finance. And as my career and my job has evolved over the years, I'm still as happy one day a week behind the chair cutting hair with my clients, but I'm also as happy sat in a boardroom talking about strategy for a big business and working with PR and marketing teams in terms of what the brand values are. So working in a large organization brings a different head for me each day. It means that I'm operating mentally in different ways. I've got different challenges to deal with. But it's funny, I think any viewer watching this tonight as a hairdresser will know that still the most rewarding part of my work and our work is standing behind a chair, doing a client's hair, making them happy. And, you know, I have a high profile in the consumer press and with the consumer. And that means that that client, when I see her, has often got very high expectations of what she's going to receive from an Andrew Barton experience haircut. And I'm still just as thrilled and excited to make sure that I deliver that experience and go beyond her expectations.
Well, I mean, you do. And you know, one of the things, Andrew, that I've always loved about your work, you are incredibly grounded. You always, when you're presenting collections, when you're presenting work, and I've heard you speak, you're always looking for the benefit that that client's going to be able to take home with her. You're always looking at hair that is not only beautiful, because that goes without saying, but hair that's incredibly complementary and individual to the clients that you deal with. And I know that's a big part of your ethos as well, isn't it?
It's a really big part, I think, for every hairdresser to understand what their ethos is, what their philosophy of hair is. And if I can frame this quite quickly and quite easily, is for me, I find it quite difficult to even say the words trendy or funky, because it's just not who I am as a designer. And I think as I've matured and as I've got older as a hairdresser, I've realized what my signature is all about is about gorgeous front cover type hair. It's not about extreme angles or kind of asymmetric kind of lines, much as I can admire all of that work. But my work is about beauty, it's about femininity, it's about glamour, and it's about transforming that fabric of hair to be something very luxurious.
Well, listen, this is why you've ended up on many front covers. This is why you have a celebrity clientele, and this is why you've done as well as you have. But I think a little bit like me, you also absolutely, you touched on this a second ago, appreciate the dynamics of the individuals and the differences that we have in our industry, from the strong geometrical haircuts to the strong, absolutely out there color work. So I think this is one of the wonderful things, isn't it? We have that appreciation, but we know our own style.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's important. And, you know, I can admire other people's work, but I have to really always understand who I am as a hairdresser, what makes me happy creating hair. That's really important to me. But it's interesting because when I was at school, like a lot of hairdressers, not all hairdressers, but a lot of hairdressers, I wasn't particularly that academic.
Me, count me in there.
Yeah, but the one thing that I was quite strong at was art, design, anything aesthetically kind of. So I knew I was destined for something in the creative world. And the path for me was to go to art school, and I wanted to become a fabric designer. But I'm from a northern working class town and from a council estate family. And I think the working class lad in me, at the age of 16, I just had enough of college and school, and I wanted a job so I could just earn some money and go out on a weekend and wear nice clothes and buy nice perfume and things. So I fell into hairdressing. It was never, ever a destination I was thinking about. But the point that I want to make here is that I realized very, very quickly that I had become that fabric designer. I just worked with a completely different material. And we have this incredible power as hairdressers to create anything with that material. But the wonderful, amazing thing that I've got more reward of over the years, Patrick, is that thing of that transforming not only how a woman looks, but how she feels about herself as well. And I think it's something that hairdressers that work behind the chair sometimes forget, that they have this power to transform how somebody feels about themselves.
I think, Andrew, I think that's been brought very much into focus, you know, when we went on the first lockdown, and of course everybody missed their hairdressers. And I think also too, finally, a lot of people realize just how important that we are in the community for people's well-being. So not only for their physical appearance, but also for their mental well-being, their mental health.
I mean, you mentioned the word community there, and 2 years ago I launched an exhibition in an art gallery called Beehives, Bobs and Blow Dries, and it celebrates.
I remember.
You remember, and it's. I mean, we're hoping that it's either coming to London or Liverpool in 2021. We're working on that at the moment, but what the exhibition did, it told the story of the historic journey, not of hairdressers, but of hairdressing, and how it has evolved. And the word that you just said there, community, how the hairdresser, the hairdressing salon, and hairdressing is the center of the community, how it affects social influence, how it affects politics, how it affects icons, how it affects fashion, and makes icons as well. You know, hair is that one outfit that a woman.
I mean, where would Mary Quant be without her beautiful little bow?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, I remember once, you know, like you know, I've had the opportunity to work on lots of different celebrities over the years, and I remember I'm often, if I find out I'm doing a celebrity, I get really anxious and quite nervous, because if I have a vision in my mind of who I think they are, and I quite like that vision, and then they disappoint me because they're some dreadful diva, it disappoints me. And I remember once getting the opportunity to work with Debbie Harry Blondie. And, you know, for me, I grew up in the 80s. She was just this icon, and of course, iconic as well. Iconic because of her hair, Patrick, as well. You know, that signature hair. Anyway, thankfully she didn't disappoint. She wasn't a diva, and she was wonderful to work with.
As Andrew, as I always say as well, I mean, you have reached the heights. You are a British icon now in our hairdressing industry. And again, Andrew, that importance of people being able to take your photograph, for you to be real, for people to come up and talk to you, and for you to chat to them is a huge thing. And I've always said, Andrew, the secret to success is sharing it. And I just know that that's what you do as well. You take your time to share your success with other people.
You know, it was nice today. A client contacts me whose hair I cut about 5 or 6 years ago. And she said, lockdown's going to be over in England, and I'd like to book a hair appointment. I understand I'm not going to probably get until March or April next year. And I replied straight away, and I went, don't be ridiculous. I said, I've always built a salon business on being approachable. So with that in mind, we always keep some available appointments. I would hate for somebody to call my salon and for the receptionist to say, we'll put you on a waiting list, or we'll fit you in March. if somebody wants their hair done next week, I want to be able to say yes to them.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Hey, Andrew, we have a lot of students that watch this. So we get a lot of colleges, a lot of tutors that are watching this as well. I want to ask you, what would you say to your younger self when you were starting out? What's a piece of advice you would give yourself back then when you were starting?
There's two things, and stop me if I keep talking too much there. There's two things. One is, as an apprentice, the woman that taught me in Yorkshire taught me never to accept okay as a standard. It means it's not okay. So if a client turns around when you've finished their hair and they say it's okay, it means that they don't like it.
Yeah.
You need to do something to change it. I've realized that in later life and as time's gone by. And I wish my advice to myself would be to have taken that heed much earlier on in my work life and my profession. But the second most important thing there is, you mentioned college there and colleges of further education. I became very, very tired of the conversation that happens that the college environment is not the best place to learn, and the salon environment is, and the industry constantly sending these daggers at further education colleges saying you don't do things well. And I knew that there had to be a bridge. So 2 years ago, we created a brand new scholarship that is exclusive to further education colleges called ABLE, Andrew Barton London Education, ABLE.
Brilliant.
Runs alongside the traditional training qualifications that happen at a college of further education. The lecturers then deliver the ABLE scholarship as well, with the whole aim and objective that at the end of the training program, the student not only comes out with a national qualification, they come out with the ABLE qualification and experience, and therefore are hopefully more salon ready and more employable.
Well, you know, I think that sounds absolutely incredible. And I have to say, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, the tutors during this whole entire horrendous year of 2020 have been incredible touchstones for many of their students, because their students have been floating in the void going, what's happening, what's happening, what's going on? And I know so many tutors, Andrew, that have personally picked up their phone and spoken to many of their students to reassure them that life will come back again. So to all of the tutors out there, they've honestly, so many of them, Andrew, have gone so far in stepping outside their own comfort zone to make sure that other people are feeling more supported. So, you know, respect to them. And I'm thrilled that you're doing something like that, because again, the more our industry looks into further education, the more we can help it, the more we can be part of it, the healthier we will be as an industry.
And the more bridges together, you know, we're all working for the same aim, and the same aim is just to make sure that when somebody has studied hairdressing for 2-3 years as an apprentice or at full-time education in a college, that they are salon ready, that they're able to be able to perform fantastic service on their clients, and they're also able to build a great career for themselves.
Hey, listen, I have to say, stepping away from that for a minute, but I was involved in a salon that you were involved with, and I was involved with it before you, and it was such an amazing space, such an incredible space, full of so many people, and it was almost run like a principality. And I'm going to say the Harrods Salon. Andrew, I was part of that at one point when, of course, SNL, Alan Paul, the whole thing, they were part of that whole story. And I can remember going to the Harrods Salon, and not a lot of viewers out there, particularly our international viewers, will understand this. But I think at the time there was something like 260 people working there, if not more. It was run, I remember the receptionist, they had about 6 or 7 receptionists that worked around a great big round table that were, it was unbelievable. It was run like a country. How did this little boy from the north fit him down there in amongst this shark tank of incredible, wonderful people?
Well, I think what was helpful is by the time I joined that business, I had a lot of London experience. I hadn't come just fresh from Yorkshire.
You'd need London experience, Andrew.
I need absolutely. But I did come from having my own salon in Covent Garden, and running that business. And what I realised very quickly was that any salon, any size, has the same challenges, and sometimes the toilets would get blocked and we had to sort it out, or sometimes there would be so much power going off that the salon power system would fail, or in anybody listening to this who maybe has got 2 or 3 staff, that if a stylist calls in sick on a Saturday, then that's a big drama. But imagine we would sometimes have 10, 14, 15 stylists calling sick on a Saturday. So it's all the same problems, the same challenges, just on a much, much bigger scale. So yeah, it was a fantastic experience.
Oh, Andrew, an amazing experience, and something to truly say you've done, because I don't think people quite understand the magnitude of this behemoth salon, because I don't think there's anything else like it in Europe. I think it's a monster all of its own.
Absolutely. And what was lovely about that is throughout all my career, I've had the honor of working with some really amazing, clever people. And at that time, the Urban Retreat at Harrods was the brainchild of an incredible man called George Hammer.
Oh, I know George, yes.
George brought a Vader into the world's attention when it was still being made in somebody's kitchen in India. He started Sanctuary Spa back in the 1980s. He's created so many incredible projects. So the wonderful thing for me was, over those 4 years that I was in that environment, I had the pleasure to work alongside George Hammer and his daughter Rena. And, I learned so much working with those wonderful people who I count as great friends.
Yeah, I mean, George is incredible. He's an amazing visionary. His daughter, really, that's a whole massive, massive success story, all of its own, really. So, what a heady time that must have been there, and working with George, seeing the Urban Retreat take vision, take shape, and I can remember going up there. One of the things, of course, it always smells so lovely, isn't it? You could always smell it. You could always smell it long before you could see it.
Yeah.
And you always go home smelling beautiful.
You can smell it outside the tube station.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, listen, you've now got a salon in central London. Now, to all of my viewers out there, Andrew has a salon not only in central London, but I think I would almost say ground zero, how most people would identify London, and that is Oxford Circus. Oxford Circus, for most people, particularly if they're not Londoners, would always identify that as being the heart of where the West End is. And you've got a salon on Maddox Street down there. And I know you've had a horrendous year, because everybody has, but how are you getting on down there? How's it going?
Well, it's been incredibly challenging. What I am very blessed with, Patrick, is that I work as part of a franchise organization. So Headmasters, we have just shy of 60 salons. Some are company owned, some are franchised. The thing that I'm very grateful about is that over the last year, pretty much the year now, I've had incredible support from an operational team, everything from finance to HR to payroll to marketing to PR. That has helped me as a salon owner, as a franchisee, to be able to navigate this horrendous situation. I feel every single day for smaller independent salons that don't have that level of support. And I guess it's one of the benefits of being a franchisee, that there is always that team to be able to support you. And I feel for a lot of smaller independents who are having to navigate this themselves. But as we both know, there's some incredible kind of bodies out there like the NHBF, kind of the Hair and Barber Council, that are working tirelessly with government to help us navigate this as an industry.
And I think there's so much information out there online as well to help you through this, and also to all the freelance hairdressers are out there. There's the Freelance Hairdressing Association, so there's a wealth of information out there, isn't there? But mental health, Andrew, has been such a big thing. Now, here you are. We talk about the salon, beautiful salon in the West End, in the heart of Oxford Circus, but you have horrendous rents that you have to meet. You've got things like furloughing staff, trying to figure out how do I find the next pounds that are going to be able to go into the coffers of a landlord or of a this or whatever. So how's your mental health through all of this? Now listen, I know that one of the wonderful things that you're very much like me, Andrew, you take great solace in creativity. And I know as the creative director, you also are able to jump into that beautiful swimming pool of creativity and try and cross-fertilize with everybody else out there that's having trouble. So I know there is a little lifeline there for you, but how are you doing?
Do you know what? I think like everybody, it's one day at a time. It's trying not to make hills into mountains, and just focusing on what you can do at that particular time, which all sounds like very generic information. I hope that viewers watching this are blessed like me, that I have a great partner who's incredibly supportive on every single level emotionally, and love means so much. So that's a great help. I've been focusing a lot on my physical health, because I know if I'm physically fit, I'm more mentally and emotionally fit as well. So exercise has always been a big part of my life, regardless of whether it's a yoga session or swimming or weightlifting or running or bicycle walking with a dog. We have a gorgeous little beagle girl. So, I've had a lot of time with her, which has been great. And also kind of, I don't want to sound too kind of floaty, but meditation is really important to me. And, when I say meditation, it's about breath, it's about breathing and, taking that time to breathe properly and energizing yourself. And I remember my grandmother, when I was a kid, always kind of telling me, a very frank northern working class woman, and the only other compliment she would ever give me was, well, you've got a great smile. and I think, sometimes when I'm not in a great place and I've found things difficult, my mouth turns that way, and then I become that. And then, I make myself smile, and it does change things mentally and emotionally. So, but
I think when you say things like it sounds a bit airy fairy or dippy or whatever, it doesn't, because meditation, all the different things, Andrew. I think people now, having gone through the year we've gone through, are not so quick to poo-hoo other people's feelings about where they find themselves at the moment, because I would challenge almost anybody here, any hairdresser here, who hasn't questioned themselves over the last 8 months, hasn't questioned themselves about who they are, what they do, and how they do things. And I think for many people have turned to things they would never have expected to turn to, that have probably taken them quite by surprise, that they could have been perhaps that fragile.
Yeah, and it's that thing of, well, people often, again, it might sound hairy-fairy, but people are using some of this time to rethink their own directions. And yeah, I've definitely been doing that, and I have been thinking, what does the next year, 5 years, 10 years look like? But you mentioned earlier community, and that's great, and I can see popping up on the screen kind of some viewers' comments.
Some great community here. Yeah,
there's one from Marie there, who I kind of know very well, and our careers were together at Saks. And she's saying, Patrick, 2 humans who changed my career. Well, if you think about things like that,
honestly, it fills you with love, doesn't it? you know, Andrew, I just knew in my heart we were going to be very similar in a lot of the ways that we look at things and how we support people around us, but also to how we support our community and our hairdressing family, our hairdressing community. And I know even you were just on a photo shoot, weren't you, just in the last couple of days, or you were working, doing some work, I think, with RACOON, because I think you do work with them, don't you?
Yeah, I'm creative director for the RACOON hair extension brand. I've been working with them pretty much most of my career, but I took the role about 5 years ago. And, you know, there's a wonderful team, and we've been doing some amazing stuff around education and training. And, you know, that's right at the DNA of what we do as a business there. So I've been doing some amazing stuff there as well. And yeah, just kind of focusing on kind of things.
Yeah. And Andrew, how do you feel? How comfortable are you in this new landscape of digital? Because obviously, you, like me, you've traveled the world, you've educated, you've done everything. But really we're now looking at the nuances of how to work in front of the camera and how we can get those messages out there with as much power and as much potency as we always do. But it's a whole new area. How are you getting on?
I'm learning. My boyfriend said to me earlier tonight, "Where's that book?" You know, I am supposed to be dedicating time to kind of learn more skills around IT, but yeah, I mean, I am learning, and I think we all have to rise to the challenge, especially around things like you've experienced around live education as well. So it's all about evolving and what
it is. But one of the wonderful things, Andrew, and I'll be really honest with you here, one of the wonderful things about you have such warmth, and that comes across. So, you know, yes, you do need to learn a bit more technical skill out there, but I'll tell you what, whatever you've got to give, you've got it in spades. That's for sure. And I know people will want to hear from you, and I know that a lot of the things you've got to say and talk about, not only hairdressing, but also the other areas like business, well-being, and so on. And I think truly you have some great messages that you should be really pushing out there.
Oh, thank you, Patrick. That's kind. I'm blushing.
No, you know, I call it as I see it. And, you know, and that's one of the things I think you and I have traded on a lot in our careers is our honesty. Because at the end of the day, if you can't be honest with yourself and you can't be honest about your work, you know, then who's going to follow you? Who's going to watch you? People want to believe in people. And I think you're one of those people they want to believe in.
You know, I think, you know, both you and I have been involved with training for most of our careers, and training others and coaching other people and nurturing other people's skills. And for me, you know, I stand there and I teach and I do training sessions, and all I can ever share is that the things that have worked for me.
Yeah.
They're not Bible, they're not gospel, they're not necessarily the right way at all. But the things that I've learned from mistakes from, and I've found that then they've worked for me, and that's where I love sharing.
And I love the fact that your tutorials are literally, there are so many different facets to you, from dressing long hair, which of course I love, to, you know, you're doing, I think I watched you do a ponytail or a messy bun and all those sorts of things. And then of course you've got you've got cutting, you've got everything else going. So you're a real, you've got a real passion to be an all-rounder, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's important to me. And I think what's really important to me is diversity of my work.
Yeah.
Because therefore I'm a bit more mentally challenged and emotionally challenged by what I'm doing. And you know, people often ask me kind of what have been the highlights of your career and things like that. And you know, certainly being crowned the British Hairdresser of the Year, it was probably one of the biggest highlights. It's the British Hairdressing Awards on Monday.
Andrew, this is why you are so wonderful to talk to, because I swear to God, that was my next question.
Oh my God. Sorry,
Andrew, of course. And please keep on talking, because people want to hear about it.
So certainly kind of being named the British Hairdresser of the Year was a huge kind of accolade, and very exciting. But, you know, after the hangover, which went on for days. And after the initial excitement, I realized, and that was a real big turning point for me in my career, was that I realized that that title came with a huge responsibility. Not only to fly the flag of British hairdressing internationally, but also to be a spokesperson, to be a voice for the causes in the industry, and some of the issues in the industry and beyond as well. So at that point, various charities outside of the industry, as well as in the industry, became very important to me. And I worked with lots of different charities. I was adopted as a child, and my life.
Andrew, listen, the synergies in our life are a little scary, myself included.
I didn't know that.
We're very special.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah. Oh,
I know, it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, and without adoption, I'm sure maybe you feel the same way. My life could have been very, very different.
Andrew, without question, I think the same thing. I think how blessed I was to have an amazing mum and dad. Look, we're both going to get upset in a second, aren't we? It's only been upset with happiness, because we know that our birth mother gave us up for a better life. And I tell you what, I've had that in spades, and you have had that in spades. How lucky are we? How blessed are we, Andrew, that our birth mothers decided to give the hardest thing away? What are we like? Aren't we naughty? Anyway, hey, listen. Andrew, we didn't know we were going to have it. I'm going to have a drink as well. We'll have a drink of water. Hey, listen, but you know, that's what makes you the special man that you are. And I tell you what, one of the great things that I loved about you winning British Hairdresser of the Year, I have to say, was that you took the title and you became a voice. And I think that's what's so lovely, you know, because sometimes people win those titles and they just disappear. You know, they win a title, they disappear. They win a title, disappear. They do a photographic competition, then they disappear. But being the British Hairdresser of the Year, as you say, comes with such huge responsibility. And I just love the way, Andrew, that you took that responsibility and you ran with it.
Thank you. Thank you. And you know, it's led to so many incredible experiences for me, you know, just popping back to adoption. You know, after that time I became I'm one of the patrons for the British Association of Adoption and Fostering, so I can use my voice to create awareness for that charity. I was bullied at school, so I'm also an ambassador for Kidscape. It was anti-bullying week last week, so I can use my voice around that. And recently I became the hairdresser ambassador for the Little Princess Trust.
I know, that's wonderful.
Just incredible. So for viewers, if they don't know anything about the charity, it has wigs made from hair donations for children who lose their hair to usually cancer treatment. But they also donate tens of thousands of pounds a year to cancer research as well. And it's just lovely for me to be able to share awareness of what others are doing.
Andrew, don't you think you and I, as we get older, as we head through this career, one of the things that we have got, which I think is really important, and we have to use it wisely, is our voice. You know, I have the gift of being able to stand on stage in front of many thousands of people and talk as if I'm talking to each and every individual one. And you have that gift as well. So, you know what? I'm going to say to a lot of the viewers out there, just watch these spaces. You know, we've got a lot to still do, haven't we, Andrew?
Absolutely.
Andrew, we're coming to the end of our interview. I can't believe how quickly it went. You know, I knew you were going to be a pleasure to talk to. I knew you'd have some amazing stories and just the energy that you give out. And then, of course, to find out that both of us are adopted and we're shedding tears and all sorts of things. And wow, yeah, it's been very real.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad, and I hope the viewers have really enjoyed it. And maybe we can do.
Listen, I don't care. I've enjoyed it. Yeah, Andrew. Just before we go, what do you think? If I could ask you, what do you think 2021 will be for you? What do you think? What would you like it to be for you? I mean, I know we want to get back on track, but is there anything in particular you'd like to perhaps try or do? Or
I mean, there's lots of projects that I'm working on. You know, my signature hair care range, which is in supermarkets, is growing, and we're on a journey of internationalization. We just launched that in South Africa pre-lockdown, so that's an exciting thing. We launched in the Middle East at the beginning of the year as well. So that's super exciting. You know, my ABLE Pro scholarship program in college of further education is something we're developing. So if there's lecturers listening to this, get in touch with me, because I'd love to share more about how your college could get involved. And Headmasters, you know, we employ over 1,000 people. There's always amazing things happening, and we are, bizarrely, Patrick, we are recruiting. We're looking for great people. So
brilliant. Well, that's great. And please, you know, I wish you nothing but success, Andrew. I know Christmas this year is going to, you know, hopefully the claws are being released a little bit. We're all still going to be taking care, but I just wish you nothing but love and success. And I wish your partner Phil all the very best, and I think he's a very lucky man. As I said to you right at the very beginning,
I'm the lucky one there.
As I said to you right from the very beginning, Andrew, you and I had to kiss a lot of frogs to find our prince. And you and I, well, we're working hard at it, aren't we? So, Andrew, please, with all my love, thank you so much. I'm going to ring, as soon as I finish my broadcast, I'm going to ring you just real quickly just to say a huge thank you. But, Andrew, thank you so much for being part of my conversation with you. You were an absolute pleasure.
My pleasure, and thank you for asking.
We'll see you very soon, my darling. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. My gosh, we've shed a few tears. We've talked and done all sorts of things, haven't we? You know, I've really enjoyed a conversation with. I'm pretty sure this might even be my last one for 2020 before I kick 2020 to the curb. But please stay tuned. You never know. I might come up with another sneaky one before the end of the year. I don't know. But it's been a real pleasure. And Andrew Barton, you're a true gentleman, a true creative, and someone I count as a friend. So thank you so much, Andrew, for being part of my show. And to all of you out there, have a fantastic evening. Sending you a lot of love from London here, from me, Patrick Cameron, to you. Guys, be safe.